Right, good evening everyone. Welcome to tonight's Cabinet meeting on Monday the 23rd of February. Just for the purposes that we have to go through, will be that we have nobody in the public gallery, so you have to bear with me, I'm afraid. The housekeeping matters, it'll be live streamed via YouTube and is recorded. The recording will be uploaded to YouTube within 2 working days and it can be accessed by anyone from that point. If members are speaking or officers, please use the microphones in front of you. When you're not speaking, turn the microphone off, or nobody else will be able to use the microphones after you. If the members of the public were here, I would be saying, I will briefly say that the cameras will be used to try and avoid picking you up, but as there are no members of the public here, we don't need to worry on that point, but welcome to you on YouTube. On hearing the fire alarm, we ask all attendees to immediately vacate the building. Please vacate via the nearest exit, which is just over on the left-hand side there, and make your way to the community square outside the main reception doors. Are we all okay with all that? Standard stuff, yeah? Thank you very much. Right, we then move to the agenda itself. Apologies for absence. We're all here, so no apologies. To sign the minutes of the previous meeting, are they agreed? Thank you. To declare any item on the agenda members may have an interest in, for you to declare any interest therein. Nothing? We're all happy? Good. Item 5, to consider anything need moving to from part A to part B or vice versa. None that I'm aware of. We're all happy with that? Thank you. Item 6 then is take up any delegated decisions. Has any cabinet member done anything that hasn't been correctly notified yet in the normal manner? No. Well done. Item 7 then takes us to the corporate performance report on pages 13 to 44. And Stuart, please.
Thank you, Chair. So I believe I can keep this introduction fairly short because members will be very familiar with the format of these reports by now. So what you have here is the Q3 performance report for the year 2025-26, which covers updates in a qualitative fashion against each and every one of the performance indicators which stem from the Council's corporate plan. So that covers the period October to December 2025. As you'll be aware, following consideration at this meeting, we do actually carve this report up into the respective cabinet committees where it is further scrutinised along with some qualitative information alongside to help members with the report. But with that said, Chair, happy to answer any questions that members might have.
Thank you. Obviously, I know all cabinet members will have been through their areas already, but just picking up on the issue of further examination of these reports, as we have said elsewhere, going forward in the next calendar year, the intention of it will be that this will all go to scrutiny, not to all the various cabinet committees. Hopefully by doing that, it will enable people, particularly those who are watching in on the meetings, to see in one location where it's been examined potentially by cabinet members. They may well all be examined by members of scrutiny in a very positive way, because obviously a lot of the reports are extremely positive. But that being said, any questions for tonight? Shane.
Just an observation, Chair, based on exactly what you've said. It's worth noting the context isn't carried here as well, and it's important that when it does go to the scrutiny committee and moves on from there, that context is something that's sort of brought up on a regular basis. Because for a range of reasons, Chair, I raise this because there are obviously some things that we monitor that actually are not fully in our control. We all want the very best for Gravesham, but we don't control, for instance, MVQ level 3 qualifications, but we can help create the conditions for that. So what things we might do for our own things like apprentices, but we're not in charge of adult education, for example, or the colleges in the borough. So, but there are things we do to support those things. So that context matters, Chair. So I suppose the observation is while these POs will vary throughout the time, that context is important. And as we take it through, I know all members will scrutinise that appropriately.
Any other comments? Hopeful thoughts? No? Can we therefore note the report, and obviously we'll go to all the cabinet committees and you'll all examine it there in detail. That agreed? Thank you. That takes us to the next item on the agenda, item 8, which is probably the most substantive item of tonight. Granting a discretionary non-domestic rate relief. Bit of a mouthful, but over to you, Andrew, please.
Thank you, Chair. So this report is in respect of an updated business rates discretionary rate relief policy. So the government made a number of changes to business rates for 2026, including introducing 2 new reliefs. So there's a supporting small business rate relief and a pub and live music venue relief. So the government aren't changing business rates legislation, but have instead asked local authorities to use their discretion to implement these new reliefs in line with the eligibility criteria they've provided. So Appendix 1 in the report contains the updated discretionary rate relief policy. Just for clarity, it's only changes to Appendices F, which is page 81, G, which is page 89, and Appendix H, page 95. So Appendix F provides for the introduction of supporting small business rate relief. So this relief limits the increase in rates that certain ratepayers may see. So it limits that increase to £800 per annum. So it's estimated this relief will support around 500 ratepayers, totaling about 1.6 million. Appendix G purely updates the policy for retail, hospitality and leisure relief to show that that ends on the 31st of March 26. And Appendix G provides for the new pub and live music venue relief, which was announced by the government on the 27th of January. And again, it's estimated that there's 41 ratepayers in our area that will benefit to around about £58,000. They get 15% top-up relief on the other reliefs they already receive. The government expect these reliefs to be implemented in time for 26-27 billing, i.e. in the next couple of weeks. They will compensate the authority for the loss of awarding that relief through Section 31 grant, and they also recognise there will be implementation costs associated with this, so they have committed to giving us a new burdens payment as well, albeit at this time they've not announced how much the new burdens payment will be. Now, the policy was created based on the information available from the government at this point in time. So in terms of the recommendations, it does recommend that Cabinet delegate authority for finalising the policy to the Director of Corporate Services in consultation with the Cabinet member for performance administration, and sort of recognising there could be changes over the next 3 years of the rating list. There's also a recommendation that delegated authority to the same 2 people over the next 3 years. Excuse me. So, I mean, these recommendations are to give the council the flexibility to react to changes and update the policy at short notice, just ensuring that we can support those changes and give relief to ratepayers in a timely manner. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I know that there's been relief for businesses and charities for quite some time. And whilst I may be aware of that, and I think the people getting the reliefs currently will be aware of it because they're getting the reliefs. But if you listen to the media, it looks like nobody's getting the relief and it's only getting worse. How can we overcome the problem with this? Is a very complicated area to make sure the right people are getting the reliefs. How are we targeting them? And how can we make it clearer to the general public that the government isn't just sort of obliterating people with business rates and ignoring the fact there are a lot of support and relief currently in place? This is a lot of money that's going from government through us back to businesses.
Thank you, Chair. So what we're trying to do is proactively identify those ratepayers that are entitled to relief. So again, avoiding the need for them to come to us. We've identified all the pubs. We've identified all those supporting small business relief qualifiers. So, as I say, we're trying to be proactive. Our inspectors will call in on businesses if we feel perhaps they're missing out. And then we've been trying to do some sort of marketing on the socials to promote all the changes, promote changes that they've got their new rateable values. So they, again, if they feel that it's incorrect, contact the valuation office. So again, we're working with sort of the economy team to do that promotion as well.
Is there any more we can do? Because you're talking about socials. I do look at a lot of the social stuff going out there, but I think I'm more swamped by people saying they're being hit by bills going up. Even when I've been into establishments, they talk about it going up, and they don't refer to the fact that they are potentially eligible or are getting release. And that's not a conversation you hear coming out. If you've got a small cafe or a small burger van, for example, you're probably that small, you're not paying business rates. That's not what they tell everybody they're serving a burger to. They're being sort of crucified by business rates. And you think, well, you're not paying business rates, so why are you being crucified? How do we overcome that messaging? Andy?
Certainly. I mean, Andrew's team are doing some really good work on the ground, as he's just outlined, but more than happy to work with Andrew on some higher level general messaging that we won't only put out through social media, but we can put directly again to those businesses, but also through your borough, future editions, and a higher level social campaign. The material that we're putting out at the moment is really highlighting to those businesses that the team have identified that these are going to be available to them. So there is certainly space there to slightly further down the line start talking more generally about how business rates are operated. I think a lot of people still think that local councils set the business rates when they don't. And I still think lots of people think that the local councils keep all the money that they collect from the business rates, which they don't. So we can certainly work with Andrew's team on some higher level messaging and campaigns to get those messages across.
Thank you. Shane.
Thank you, Chair. I think the communications manager was reading my notes, because I think there's there are a lot of myths out there that we do constantly need to bust. I think while the bill goes out in our name, in reality, just like the council tax, we keep such a small proportion of it. We don't set, unlike council tax, we don't even set the business rates. We are the collection authority, and it is distributed accordingly to the various tiers of government, local government and national government. We don't even keep. It's not even distributed between preceptors. It actually goes further as well. We don't set business rates, but also where the money we do get and we do spend, we spend locally on services as well. So there is. There is something to be said about what we spend the money on and how we spend it on for businesses. And the other thing raised on your point, Chair, about if people are paying business rates or do have relief, actually some of this relief was temporary. It was actually only put in to help overcome people's behaviour changes as a result of the pandemic. And what we've seen is as a removal, now businesses have picked up of that rate relief. So there's another communication sort of issue of myth busting, that actually what we've seen as behaviours have gone back to normal, we're seeing the relevant reliefs go back to normal, or lack of to go back to normal. But apparently there's a lot of crying wolf about that as well. And while we appreciate no one likes paying taxation, we have to have a reasonable discussion in this country about high wish list of what people want to spend the money on, and the ability of people to pay, and how do we find that balance, and then we've got to bust those myths accordingly.
I think you're right, and I think it's a good example to us all, really. If we bring initiatives in, which are great ideas, always have the exit plan as to, if that initiative comes to an end, how do you exit? I think this is part of the problem we've got on this. The government brought in a good concept during COVID. It was needed. But when COVID came to an end, how do you then exit without it making it look what it was? The removal of a short-term initiative. And it's always going to be, whatever the subject is, it's always going to be a problem. But I think we need to understand how to drive a better form of communication about it. And Raj?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to know, how many pubs and live music venues in the borough who's going to benefit from this relief. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, we've identified 41 that meet the criteria, so that relief will automatically be applied. They said it's a 15% reduction after taking off the various other reliefs they will already be in receipt of.
Thank you. Any other observations, questions? I think the report sets out the case and some good write-ups on the appendices there, so there's quite a good context set out. The recommendations are 3 of them on page 45. Are they agreed by members? Yes? Thank you very much. That then takes us neatly to the next item on the agenda, item 9, which is any other business, of which I have none. Item 10 is the exclusion of public members. So thank you very much for coming. We do have one tonight. I'm very sorry to say that you come to a meeting that's now just closing. Yep, it was. Thank you. Well, thank you. Take care. So that's the exclusion of the public. A very happy public by the looks of it as well. That would then take us to part B, which is, are we terminated? Can we finish, please? And in part B, item 11 will be any other business, of which we have none. So that's the end of